My name is Staff Sergeant Sean Gregson, Seangregson, of the Calgary Police Homicide Unit. Following an autopsy completed this morning, we have now identified the victim of a fatal shooting that occurred over the weekend as 19-year-old Jordan LEINEN of Calgary. At approximately 6 p.m. on Saturday, July 20th, we were called to the Foothills Medical Centre for reports of 2 victims who had arrived suffering from gunshot wounds. Despite life-saving attempts, Jordan was declared deceased, and a 17-year-old male was treated with serious injuries. He has now since been upgraded to stable. We believe this shooting took place at approximately 5:20 p.m. on July 20th, as the victims were traveling westbound on 32 Avenue overtop Deerfoot Trail in a white Acura MDX. We believe 1 or 2 unidentified vehicles approached the Acura, firing several rounds into the vehicle prior to the victims attending the hospital. We don't think that this was a random incident. We also don't think that Jordan was the intended target. We are looking to speak with anybody who may have information about this incident. Any information, either big or small, may have a significant impact on this investigation. Anyone in the area of 32 Avenue and Deerfoot Trail around 5:20 p.m. on July 20th, we're asking you to come forward, provide us with anything you may have seen, and if you have dash cam footage, we want to see it. A young woman has lost her life, and a family is now left without their loved one. Our condolences go out to Jordan's family for their loss, and I can assure you we have many resources from across the service investigating this shooting. I'm now open for any questions.
What makes you believe that Jordan wasn't the intended target?
Based on the damage to the vehicle and where the other male was sitting in the vehicle.
So was the other male probably the intended target?
It would appear so.
Are you able to clarify who was sitting in who was in the passenger seat, who was in the driver's seat?
Jordan was in the passenger seat.
Are they related, the 2 victims, Jordan and the 17-year-old?
Because he's 17, I'm not going to speak about any of the relationships that he has. He's a young person.
Have you heard anything from the family of Jordan and any thoughts about just this tragic death?
Yeah, they're devastated by this loss, and we've spoken with them.
Were there cameras along Deerfoot, like that stretch of Deerfoot?
That's why we're asking for the public's assistance here. It is a bit of a remote area with not a lot of buildings, so there is not a lot of cameras in that area. We are out canvassing for some of the buildings and potential cameras in the peripheral, but we really are seeking the public's assistance for anybody who may have been in that location for that exact reason.
Any other questions? Do we know kind of why the driver would have been the target? Like, is this drug related or is this?
Can't speak to any of those details right now.
Are they known to police?
Again, as we're dealing with a youth here, I'm not going to speak to any of those details.
Any sort of indication of who the perpetrators might have been in this case, or even an inkling of who you're looking for?
We've got a vague description at this time of some vehicles, but as it is so vague right now, and it was a very traumatic and dynamic event, we're really looking and keeping the description of the vehicles as open as possible right now so that anybody can come forward with that information.
Is it possible too, you talk about it being sort of dynamic and chaotic at that time, is it possible that there are people who witness things but have maybe not, because they didn't have a dash cam, for example, not contacted police, or think that what they saw was irrelevant to what you already know?
100%, right? Something like this happening in the middle of the daylight, it might not register right away. I'm hoping that this information, and with your assistance, somebody can reflect back on that and say, oh, that's what I saw. And then they'll be willing to come forward and provide us with some details of what they saw. Something that just may have twigged them and said, what just happened there? This was actually a very tragic incident.
Any other questions?
Thanks, everyone.